Whoever saved you, I love them.
Disney's Frozen 2 opens with a memory. It's a sweet memory. A young Elsa and Anna listen to their father recollect a tale about an enchanted forest, about conflict between peoples, and about his being saved as a young man by a mysterious woman. Then they hear their mother sing them a lullaby, which, as she relays, she learned from her own mother, and which tells of a magical river called Atahalan that holds all the answers about the past. The melody of this memory, in which the girls hear their parents' own memories, travels across water and transports the viewer to present-day Arendelle, where Elsa stands wistfully on the castle's balcony. Was this memory hers? Does it belong to someone or someplace else? Though we have yet to learn the significance of this memory, already we see it connected to the destiny that Elsa senses for herself beyond her kingdom's walls. Whereas in the first film she celebrated that the past is in the past, the sequel suggests right away how her future might in fact reside in her past, which holds answers for those brave enough to face its currents, and which sings to those who choose to hear. 3 years after the action of the first film, all is well in the kingdom of Arendelle. Queen Elsa and company live in harmony with each other and with the people, who share the kingdom's wealth and good fortune. This good fortune affords the characters the space to ponder other philosophical concerns.
Do you ever worry about the notion that nothing is permanent?
Here, an older and wiser Olaf vocalizes one of the film's central thematic concerns, a concern with which some of the earliest recorded philosophers have wrestled: the question of the one and the many. Does everything we see and experience in the universe comprise a single and static being, wherein all motion and change is merely illusion? Or does ceaseless flux constitute reality, wherein, as the ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus famously said, you can't step in the same river twice, because both you and the river continuously change? Anna consoles Olaf with an in-between stance. Time goes on, but some things never change, like the relationships among the characters who promise to hold on tight to one another. But are these seemingly changeless things, as Anna sings, in fact like an old stone wall that will never fall? And will, as Elsa promises the people, will the flag of Arendelle always fly? And how can one cling to what she loves when the future beckons her forward, urging her to listen to the call to proceed to new adventures? Elsa chooses to accept this call, and she journeys northward with her friends, who find ways to pass the time.
Did you know that water has memory? True fact.
No one wants to listen to Olaf's tiresome travel trivia, and yet this knowledge of water's remembering capacity will emerge again and again in the film. After passing into the enchanted forest, Elsa and friends find themselves swept up in a vortex. Elsa combats the wind with her ice powers, and frozen memories emerge, including one of her young father on the cusp of his salvation. Before she can ponder this memory, people appear, both the nature-loving Northuldra and the forgotten members of Arendelle's army. Still at odds with one another, both groups unite in marveling at Elsa's powers, seeking to know more about her. Olaf recaps their history, indeed the plot of the first film, in a moment that is not simply a comedic reprieve from the main narrative, but that offers another illustration of this film's concern with the human tendency to turn past events into stories. The stories people tell each other, bound up with the past, have the capacity to inform the future. Although Elsa and her friends do not yet know the history of betrayal between Arendelle and the Northuldra, they nonetheless have begun to respond to this history by participating in cross-cultural exchange, observing and embracing the similarities and differences among people. The sisters soon learn that they are the product of such exchange. They discover that their mother was the Northuldra woman who saved their Arendellian father, marking their dual descent from both the Northuldra and Arendellian people. With this new knowledge, Elsa promises to help the Northuldra by lifting the mist from the forest. Already having shown her affinity with the four elements, earth, air, fire, and water, Elsa has begun to understand that her quest has something to do with restoring the natural order. The mysterious voice, which might belong to the so-called fifth spirit, continues to call to her, and Elsa calls back, trekking still northward with Anna and Olaf, halting when she happens upon the shipwreck of her parents. After some investigation, the sisters discover that their parents undertook their fatal journey in order to learn about Elsa's powers, hoping that such knowledge might bring relief to their deeply depressed daughter. Because water has memory, Elsa can reawaken the moment right before their deaths, which shows them locked in an embrace of sacrifice and love. This shipwreck of memory stresses the important point that Iduna and Agnar loved their daughters and that they led Elsa to repress her powers not out of ill will but out of misunderstanding and fear. The shipwreck also reveals that Atahallen, the river about which Iduna used to sing, is real. To the anger and worry of Anna and Olaf, Elsa decides to venture there alone, choosing to traverse the rough waves not by ship but by foot. At first struggling, she manages to break a wild seahorse, riding it across the waters to where the north wind meets the sea, to a river full of memory. She finds the river frozen, it is a glacier, and hearing again the mysterious voice, Elsa hastens toward it. Elsa enters into the womb-like glacier, about to reach the pinnacle, or rather the deepest depths of her philosophical quest, and it is an altogether female sort of truth-seeking, in accordance with Nietzsche's critique of philosophers who erroneously attempt to strip the truth bare and master it. Nietzsche writes, "One should have more respect for the bashfulness with which nature has hidden behind riddles and iridescent uncertainties. Perhaps truth is a woman who has reasons for not letting us see her reasons?" Elsa has certainly been bashful, just like the spirit hiding behind the voice, and as she grows more confident, she urges the mysterious spirit to open her door, recalling her own years-long tendency to hide depressed behind the door of her bedroom. At long last, the waiting has ended, the door will open, and Elsa will meet the fifth spirit, said to be the bridge between people and the spirit of nature. The four elements appear: air, fire, water, and earth, and Elsa arranges them into their proper configuration. Then she steps into the center and into her destiny. Light rises and erupts, projecting through the icy prismatic walls a collage of beautiful memories about who else? Of course, Elsa's mother. Elsa receives the answer she has known all along, an answer hidden yet apparent in the film's very first scene. Remembering this maternal love, and in a merger of mother and daughter, Elsa not only meets the fifth spirit, but she also becomes it. The mother, whom Elsa implored to show herself, sings those words back to Elsa, and the truth Elsa discovers is this: the mother, with extreme devotion and generosity, shows herself by inspiring her daughter to show herself, by compelling her daughter to step into her powers and realize her full potential. The fifth spirit is love. Elsa then walks through a room of snowy memories, cringing at one, obliterating another, but mostly smiling at them, until she happens upon her grandfather, the former king of Arendelle, who, she learns, sought dominion over the Northuldra.
Magic makes people feel too powerful, too entitled. It makes them think they can defy the will of a king.
Elsa follows him, risking the lullaby's warning that if she goes too far, she will drown, or freeze, given that Atahallen is a glacier. If we read this scene in terms of Elsa's philosophical quest, we see another engagement with philosophy's old interrogation of the one and the many. In particular, we see the potential socio-political threats on the side of the one. Elsa's grandfather endorsed the logic of the one, whereby he positioned his own ego and will as the absolute law to which everyone must bend, refusing to embrace the boundless differences manifested in other people. Elsa witnesses his betrayal and then freezes, a victim of his static and tyrannical point of view, which the river mother Atahallen, whose currents embrace boundless difference, relegates to her drowning depths. But Elsa embodies a philosophy of maternal love, which, because love always requires at least two people, relies on difference, and is always in motion. As she freezes, she sends a signal to Anna, who overcomes her own struggle with loneliness and despair and sets out to bring justice to the Northuldra by destroying her grandfather's dam. With the help of the Earth Giants, the dam falls, sending a flood surging toward the kingdom of Arendelle. This sacrificial dam breaking frees the forest and restores balance to the world. It also unfreezes Elsa from her grandfather's static, tyrannical will. Though Arendelle has once stood for her grandfather's injustices, it has come to stand, as Elsa remembers, for equity, friendship, and love. And precisely because Anna is willing to sacrifice the kingdom she loves in the name of justice, it is saved. Rushing with the current on the water horse, Elsa returns to the kingdom and produces a giant ice shield and then calms the waters. Both Arendelle and the Northuldra may now live in peace. Elsa returns to the enchanted forest, radiant and transformed, and Anna, overjoyed to find her sister alive, recognizes her as the fifth spirit and bridge. Elsa, however, clarifies the meaning of this bridge.
Well, actually, a bridge has two sides, and Mother had two daughters. We did this together, and we'll continue to do this together.
Contrary to her grandfather's shameless egotism, Elsa embraces the wisdom that no one stands alone, that relationality precedes identity, and that to fully comprehend the truth, which is love, one must exist in loving relation to other people, despite how different they might be from you. Life, as a reborn Olaf reminds us, is all about difference, and all about change.
While I still don't know what transformation means, I feel like this forest has really changed us all.
More change indeed awaits. Elsa will remain in the enchanted forest, and Anna will become Queen of Arendelle. But all in the world is not just flux, and one need not pick a side in the philosophical debate between the one and the many. For, after all, though there is change, there is also constancy.
I just thought of one thing that's permanent.
What's that?
Love.
People may transform or fade away, but the good in them finds a way to resurface. Elsa and Anna's parents, dead for several years, re-emerge as inspiration for lands reconnected by love, and the microcosm of the family's story is reflected in the macrocosm of the transformed relationship between Arendelle and the Northuldra. The sisters now live apart, but as different ends of the same bridge, they remain connected. At the beginning of the film, Anna compared the constancy of her relationships to an old stone wall that will never fall. But we see now that these relationships are in fact more like a stone bridge. The wisdom of the bridge and of the sisters is a message of love, permanently in motion and in motion permanently. While change is often painful and always inevitable, Frozen 2 reminds us that what is lost may be found, what is forgotten may be remembered, and what in the past is made of goodness and love will always find a way to cross over and return.